Good afternoon, everyone. I hope my video, audio, and also the screen is clear. So, in today's brief session, it will be about 10 minutes of session. Here, we will be analyzing a lot of case studies, the topics from which the case studies or the subjects from which the case studies questions were framed, and what has ICAI done in the past. That is what we'll be looking at it. But before I move on to the analysis, I want to announce that we will be having the second session. So we already had one session where we analyzed one case study in depth. We understood how to approach the case study. In similar fashion, with more inputs, we'll have the second class on 27th of February at 7 p.m. Right. So if you want, you can register for that and you can join the session. It will be held on Zoom. Of course, we'll also stream it on YouTube. But if you want a personal interaction, you can join. You can join with us on Zoom. So that is the announcement first I would like to make. Do share this with your friends. Do like this video, so that it reaches maximum number of students. So that is the first thing. Then coming to the analysis, what is the analysis we are talking about? So we had a look at about 79 80 case studies, and then what we figured out is there is some kind of pattern. Of course, past is not a representation of the future, but still we could find some kind of pattern. We could understand which subjects have more weightages. So we've actually done a thorough analysis. So our analysis included the recent case studies which have been published, 15 case studies under IBS. That is the first source. Then we also looked at the student journal case study, where they had given a very unique case study, very different from all the case study that was given. Then we moved back to, we also saw the RTP, and then we also saw the case study digest, which was available earlier. Okay, so we have gone through a lot of this, and then we also went back to the suggested answers of all this examination. Now you might be wondering, sir, how did we go back to suggested answers? See, earlier we used to have something called as paper number 6F, right? Now this paper was attempted by very few students. Very few means very few, hardly, not even 100 students have attempted this paper in one single attempt. So I'll just show you the RTI what we had filed earlier. So paper 6F, if you can see here, just a second, I think it's slightly cut off. Yeah. So paper, if you see, paper 6F, 28 people have appeared in 19. Then 25 appeared in 20. Then 20 appeared here. Then 49 appeared. So one paper which hardly any students have appeared, but that gives us a good base. The suggested answers of those attempts give us a good base to understand what actually is happening. Because if you see some of the case studies that we are looking at currently, these are as it is from the suggested answers of May 23, question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have simply taken it up and they have put it up as case studies. So you have all of these case studies. Now the analysis part here is subject wise weightage: DT, financial reporting; IDT, corporate law, that is a part of your set A; auditing; economic law, that is again a part of your set A; AFM, and SCMP, which is a part of set B; and some topics of strategic management that will be tested. Right now, a lot of these, for example, this set of case studies, 1, 2, 3, these 4 case studies were taken from case study digest, which is already available. So institute has actually not created many new case studies as of now. Okay, but that does not mean that they will not do new case studies in the future, right? So that is one linkage where they have taken past case studies and they have provided to us, which also means that having a look at these case studies of the past will give us some direction as to what is the likely pattern, what are the topics we need to focus on for the future. Again, I told you, in the past, not even 100 students have written in one single attempt this particular 6F paper, right? But now it has been mandatory, and because of that we need to put extra effort. But this paper, if you do it rightly, can be highly scoring and you can actually pass the exam also, right? So don't worry about that. Now, based on the analysis, what we realized is there is a lot of weightage on DT, IDT, FR. Okay, these are the high weightage topics. So we have actually calculated the overall weightages. So if you see, 23.27% questions have come from direct taxes, FR 18%, IDT 16%. So on an average, 23 plus 18, 41, 42, 42 plus 60, 60% coverage from these 3 subjects. Right now, moving to others, subjects like strategic cost management, AFM, though they are actually very scary from students' point of view during examination, these are very less weightages. So if you see the weightage, 3%, 2%. So what I would suggest is not to overthink towards these, these two subjects. Focus on the subjects where there has been a pattern from the institute to test us more, because it is a clear pattern. DT, IDT, FR, these have been highly tested. Of course, law is also there. I think there's some issue with the screen. Just a moment. So if you look at other papers, even law, audit, economic law, there has been some question, but these questions are more straight, more direct. Okay, there will be requirement of some kind of learning, but these have been more direct. A lot of focus has been on these aspects. Now, if you look at some specific attempts, for example, if you look at, let us say, May 23 attempt, right? So this May 23 attempt is covered here. Now here, if you see, you have questions like in this May 23 papers, you have questions from almost all the topics. Like you have questions from this attempt, these three subjects, then these subjects. So you have a spread of thing. Almost all the subjects have been tested in this particular attempt, including audit, law, AFM, not SMP, but these have been tested. So that is one. Second, with the case study digest that they are provided, when we look at this particular heat map, very few case studies don't have DT and IDT. Still there is some exception, but DT is there almost in every case study, right? Whereas if you see economic law, the frequency of economic law is very less. Even if you go back, right, frequency of economic law is very less. So no need to be really scared, but at the same time, if you want, please start preparing for SET as well, because if at all a couple of questions get tested and if you are able to score in them, it will actually be helpful to you. So that is one part. Then coming to AFN, SM and SCMP, you can see hardly anything has been tested. So even if you are thorough with the formula and some of the models of these two particular topics, that will be more than sufficient. Then a lot of case studies were repeated, as I already mentioned it to you. These are repeat case studies. These are also repeat case studies. So it is in our interest to at least go back and have a look at these case studies which were as a part of the case study digest in the November 23 attempt, and also to look at the suggested answers of the previous few attempts, because that will give us a direction as to what kind of questions will be tested in the examination. Right now, the other thing, this PDF will make it available to the students when we start the sessions. This PDF will be available, which you can have a look at it and focus on those areas specifically. Is there anything to be concerned? Nothing to be concerned. Yes, previously students did not write much, but we do have the resources. We do have the right kind of approach and framework with which we will be able to crack this paper. So no need to be worried. Even questions which have come from law, audit, economic laws, these are more straightforward. In fact, in some of the questions in FR, they have tested very simple standards like India's 41, or they have tested something like government grants, which is more straightforward. Okay, when it comes to 115 and 116 also, the questions which I expect to be tested is more simple, more straightforward. DT, IDT, there will be a challenge to remember some of the rates, some of the exemptions, but apart from that, that also will be able to manage. But the most important challenge that a lot of you will be facing is to study or read the case in the given period of time and attempt the questions. That is very important, where we need right kind of approach and right kind of practice. So knowledge plus right kind of approach and right kind of practice is what is needed to crack this particular case study paper. So as I told you, those of you who have joined late, we are conducting the second session on 27th of February at 7 p.m. The previous sessions, we were really excited to see the feedback that all of you have given. So this time, myself, Sriram, who is our AFM faculty, and Chiv Tejas, who is our DT and IDT faculty, will come together and we'll discuss another case study on 27th of February at 7 p.m. So see you on 27th February. Do register now if you have not yet registered, and see you then. Thank you.